Good afternoon. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out here to Ferguson Acres. As I induct my nephew, Sex Ferguson, into this shitty Hall of Fame. Can't believe he'd take this. Son of a bitch, he'd take anything that ain't bolted down. But nonetheless, I digress. Ha, that rhymed a little bit. I'd like to thank the folks here at Hills and Quads for allowing me to do this from Ferguson Acres. Not because of some pandemic, but mainly because my ankle bracelet goes off after 50 miles. That Levi feller, he's got a name like a glass of wine, Zinfandel. Mr. Tommy Walter. I'd like to thank those fine folks. I'd like to take you back to my nephew's teenage years, where he earned the name and the reputation of Sex. As his uncle, and the fact his father wasn't around to do these things, I had to take the task of teaching my nephew the important things in life. Fighting, driving in parallel parking, and fucking. At the age of 15, I taught my nephew how to fight. After 32 concussions, 100 broken bones, he finally learned to move the fuck out of the way. Boy, he was a terrible fighter. Not as terrible as Talking Shop-A-Mania that you can get on the Fight app, but terrible nonetheless. At the age of 16, I was left with the task of teaching him how to drive and parallel park a vehicle. That boy has no eye-hand coordination. After 4.5 months, 3 vehicles later, he was now a master at learning how to drive. If you go watch Talking Shop-A-Mania 2 on the Fight app, you can see some of his skilled driving. He might have been slightly intoxicated. I will not confirm or deny this. At the age of 18, and the most important thing in life, fucking. Now, many of you are going to ask how an uncle teaches a nephew how to fuck. Well, I'm glad you asked. Back in my day, we had this place called a video store. The good ones had good videos. And by good videos, I mean the ones with naked women. If you're into the naked men, that's on you. There's nothing wrong with that, but we got the ones with the naked women. First off, we would stop at the corner store, and this is very important when you're a Ferguson. You get yourself some of those gas station dick pills that makes the soldier stand tall. And some cheap hooch. You don't waste the expensive stuff on a woman that you're only going to spend one night with. Who bought that shit? After 4 days of countless dick pills, cheap hooch, and amazing videos, I put my nephew on a plane to Las Vegas, Nevada, where we got us ladies of the night. And I allowed him to pick out his first lady of the night. Her name was Dee Dee. From this point on, we'll just call her Double D. And boy, was she a lady. And this, my friends, is where he earned the name Sex. This woman would never stop calling him. And that's how you know you got him, if they don't stop calling. She would call because she had an itch. I told my nephew, go see a doctor. She can get her own. She called and she said she can't walk. Well, of course you can't walk. You had sex with a Ferguson. You'll get over that in a couple days. You'll be back up and walking. But that third phone call, and I don't know if there were any after this, because he took that most important advice. She said she has a baby on the way. And I told him, the important thing here is you don't go back to Vegas for a little while and change those phone numbers. You, kid, are now a master coxman of sex and no longer just a masturbator. So at this time, joining the demo god Chris Jericho in the Instagram wing, RJ City in the Cobb Salad wing, I would now like to welcome my nephew, Sex Ferguson, into the Hills and Quads Shitty Hall of Fame. And the lady that said all she got was a wrinkled up 8x10 of my nephew, let me tell you now, you got a wrinkled up 8x10 of a